All right, we are live for the Thursday edition of the morning check-in, and as always, looking forward to connecting, man, and wanted to, connect with my people, find out what's going on, share with you some things that I'm keeping my eyes on, as well as wish everyone a happy Fourth, especially if you're here in the U.S. and you're celebrating this holiday season here. Hope you have a blessed day and everything in between. And as always, looking forward to connecting, man, sharing some thoughts and seeing what's going on. It's been a minute since I've done a live stream due to scheduling changes and things like that. And, doing more, pre-recorded videos these days, really enjoying that and trying to better fine tune that work there. But anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Let me know if the audio is coming in good, wherever you're watching it, whether on YouTube or Rumble. And also, I'm sure there's some subjects that you are keeping an eye on. So feel free to throw it in the chat and bring it to the attention of the other community members, as well as, we'll see if what we can do with that information, just because, so much stuff happened this week. Of course, I encourage you, if you haven't joined the Telegram, because that's pretty much where I interact at the most directly, as well as the community and themselves going back and forth. So definitely check that out. The information for those socials is in beneath this video here. And let me make sure everything is flowing smoothly. Let me make sure I can hear myself, see myself, and we'll go from there and try to have some fun with it, man. The goal always is to connect with you guys and see what's going on. And so give it a second before we get started, and we'll make it happen, man. But we have a couple people checking in with us. I appreciate you as always, man. So it's going to be a good morning, nevertheless, to say the least. But so what I am, I guess, the most concerned with at this current moment is what's happening out in California. And so good looks for one of the community members sharing it in the post there, because I wasn't aware of it. But a small credit union out in California for the last several days, and so this appears to be the fifth day of about 500,000 depositors being locked out of their accounts. And so once again, if you see or not able to log into your account, that definitely impacts your plans for today, this past week, and definitely head into the weekend. And so I just like to put myself in the shoes of individuals that's impacted like that and really try to think things through, because that definitely changes your plans. And I'd imagine if we have any community members that's caught up in that ransomware attack as it's being painted, let us know your thoughts and let us know if there's been any developments or anything like that. Go from there. But other than that, man, that's going to be a good day. Says we're lagging a little bit. And so, yeah, there's nothing I can do on my end here, but I'll do the best I can to keep moving forward. All right, man. So let's jump right in, man. So as always, I'll go through some of the basic introduction things. Never know who's new in the community. Want to make sure everyone has resources and ways to better protect, preserve, and prepare for the changes underway. And then we'll get into some headlines. And on top of the banking situation, I can already tell you how it's being positioned, because the ransomware attackers, they want crypto. And of course, what crypto does all ransom attackers love to accumulate. It happens to be Bitcoin. And so, yeah, man, the ultimate surveillance coin is what the ransomware hackers ultimately will want. But it's like, come on now, it doesn't even add up. But then again, I'm done with trying to make sense of it. All right, but anyway, man, let's get into it, man. Let me get some stuff on my screen here, and then we'll jump right into it. As always, make sure I make available all the options. And so trying to better, I guess, position all the resources that I put together so people can actually plug in, because I never know who's new. But at rethinkingthedollar.com, I have what I consider how to unplug from the monetary matrix. And it's ultimately 5 simple steps: the awakening, the awareness, to analyze, to act, and then assemble. And so it starts off to the far left of the screen with the dollar IQ quiz. 10 simple questions make a world of difference, really get you rethinking some things. And then the next step is the awareness period, where you plug into some information that's outside the box, that counters the mainstream narrative. And that's with the crisis reports, which allows you to join the email list as well. And then the analyze phase is where you really begin to take an active approach on relearning or learning first go around all the information that you're not taught in schools. And so you got the allocation charts as well as RTD University, where I put together all my previous interviews. And so that's a comprehensive location where you can get a wealth of knowledge there. And then most recently, looking to put together step 4, which is the action part, and that's the getting your weight up. And so the RTD Silver Team is where I'm looking to help 1,000 households basically partner with me and automating their weight accumulation, and then building a team around that so that you can also be rewarded for your efforts in helping people stack. So click information on that as well. And then the last part, if you're new, make sure you subscribe. That's step 5, and join the community where you'll be plugged in at all times, and you'll be able to really stay ahead of the 99.99% of the people who could care less about the subject matter, but knowing they need to. And so all the information I just mentioned can be found in the description below if you're interested in finding out. And then last, I want to make sure I acknowledge my people over at Colonial's Metals Group. And so I had Paul on last week and had a great discussion with him, basically just getting an idea as to how people can be proactive in taking possession of their retirement portfolios and a self-directed IRA. So if you're interested in finding out more from Colonial's Metals Group, you can just fill out this little survey right here. You'll be contacted by their team there, and you'll have a chance to ask all the questions you need to really stay plugged in and see if this option is something that's good for you, because things are speeding up, I must admit, and you definitely want to be prepared and having everything that you believe is yours, hopefully in your possession or close to you in that matter. So if you scroll down below, here's a link here, give you more information. There's a number as well where you can call them and basically just get your questions answered so you'll know your options. And so that's just a little something there to get my people started this morning. But lots of things happening. I did a video that I just put up last night about silver touching or retouching the $30 mark. And so that's definitely something that, you know, it's going to be hard to keep those prices down. And actually, let me share with you that video there, because I haven't put it on YouTube, but I'll share it with you here so you guys can see what I see here. But as I mentioned, for those who are coming in, just doing more work as far as taking short, concise videos and putting it up on the internet. So as you can see on the screen here, silver and solar. And so a lot of figures coming out, most recently from the Silver Institute, talking about, you know, the silver demand and how they're improving the quality of solar panels, but it requires more silver. And so more silver is going into these panels, and therefore that's less available for the, you know, other industrial uses, personal consumption, and the like. So good information there if you guys are interested. And I'll probably post it to the YouTube, but no guarantees. But go check it out on Rumble. That's where I'm doing majority of my work now, because it seems to be a much more hungrier audience, and our algorithms are more friendlier over there. So anyway, that's just something I want to share with you guys. So let's jump right into it, man. And so yesterday the markets reached above that $30 mark. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see what I see here. And so markets in the Western Hemisphere closed today, but as of now, it's 30.37. So it's good to say Asian markets are open. And so we'll see how they respond when markets open over here. But another thing that's catching a lot of people's attention is the crypto space. So as of right now, Bitcoin is not doing too well in relation to the current momentum and activity that's out there. And so as you can see right here, let me zoom out so you guys can see what I see here. There's I noticed a lot of YouTubers that talk about this space panicking a little bit and concerned with a increased sell-off beyond the governments and Mount Gox that's testing the market. So we're going to touch on that a little bit, but these are things I keep an eye on just because, you know, this is where the liquidity will flow first. And so definitely for my speculators, you want to be positioned accordingly, I believe. But primary subject matter, let's jump right into it, man. Patelco security incident could take days, weeks to resolve. ATM outages are possible. And so this is a headline that came out in reference to this whole cyberware event. And this was initially posted on the 2nd, updated on the 3rd. And so this is just the initial narrative that was given to us. But a credit union that will impact 500,000 members. Here's another one here from yesterday. It says, everything's frozen. Ransomware locks credit union users out of their bank accounts. So once again, No one anticipated going into the holiday weekend not being able to get access to their cash. And so definitely 500,000 plus people are really rethinking, the whole banking model, business model in of itself, because as we've always mentioned, there's so many things happening right now in the banking sector that it's it's hard to ignore. And it's just one of the things where a lot of people are not paying attention to what's going on. And so we've had an uptick in cyber events over the last couple of weeks. And so I've done some videos talking about that, where nothing is by accident. Everything is intentional. And as a result of all these cyber attacks, ransomware attacks, whatever you want to call them, the end result is you have these actors or, government entities, who knows who really is behind it, but I have my suspicions. And they're the leading demand is no longer cash. It's all about Bitcoin and cryptos. And so it doesn't do that sector any justice when you have an uptick in criminal activity like this, and then the reward that these hackers want happens to be Bitcoin. And so it's like, just stuff that makes me wonder. But anyway, I'm going to dive into one of these articles here because this is the most detailed one, I believe. So real quick here, I'll thumb through this because I'm not sure if people have been paying attention to this, but definitely, if you haven't, you will at some point. So here we got no end in sight to Patelco credit union ransomware attack that crippled online banking for 500,000 members. And give you some more details here. If I can zoom in here. Let me try to zoom in. Maybe I won't be able to. Let me see. Let me see if I can get into his screen more so you can see what I see. Maybe I won't be able to do that. Bear with me 1 second. I like to be able to zoom in if I can. But anyway, I'll do it this way. So what I'll do is just read through this a little bit, give you some details for those who may not have been paying attention, and keep you up to snuff. And then, of course, I'm curious to get your thoughts, so feel free to share some thoughts in the comment section here, but we'll see. So this was updated as of yesterday at 9:41 a.m. And it says here, 4 days after the ransomware attack crippled its system, Patelco crippled credit union remained unable to tell its members when banking operations would return to normal. So once again, people are trying to log in, and either it says an error on the screen or systems down, or depending on how sophisticated these hackers are, they probably put up a screen saying something stupid or foolish to really cause more panic from depositors, because it just goes to show, how. And another thing, side note, as much as the powers that be, World Economic Forum, even our own government wants to steer us towards a solely digital world, eventually rolling out the CBDC stuff, that's already, baked into the cake for the future. There's so much problems with having a solely digital economy because of the cybersecurity aspect of things, meaning that it's computer code on servers that requires continuous 24/7 maintenance and upkeep and everything else in between, because it's all on the internet. So anything directly on the internet is subject to some type of breaching because it's code. So that in of itself imposes a systemic danger on your average person, because if our entire financial world is being steered towards being an on-screen activity that we can't control or even have any real say-so over, that automatically limits and puts a stranglehold on what you can do, because no matter what, there's so many counterparty risk in between you and what you think is yours. It will only get wider and grow longer and stronger because these institutions aren't operating in our best interest. And so that's just another reason why it's good to have, an ultimate parallel economy where you have your digital presence inside of this system where, based upon the risk you're willing to take, because all the FDIC stuff after this next banking event will definitely, it's gonna test the solvency of a lot of these institutions, because they won't be able to make whole everybody who think they have something. And then on the other side of that, having activity in the real world, away from the whole matrix type of atmosphere where they're steering us, so that you have something that you can exchange hand to hand with in needs of emergency, or directly in your community if you're, working with, local farmers or whoever, trying to barter or just exchange something from hand to hand, whether it be service or goods or commodity or whatever. So that's going to be more than important to make sure you balance that out equally according to what you feel is comfortable for you and your household. But anyway, real quick here. It says here, the Dublin-based credit union has not released additional details about the security breach that has left members barred from their electronic payments, deposits, and transfers since last week. It says customers continued on Tuesday to wait in lines to use bank ATMs and remained forced to visit Patelco's branches throughout the state to withdraw cash, though they are still unable to access their statement balances or any information regarding their online banking. It says Enrique Harwez, one of the credit union's estimated 500,000 members, visited the Story branch in San Jose to ask about his social security check, which bounced and is his only source of income, including since retiring in January. So, and this is just another side note. Bear with me here. This, as I'm reading this, more thoughts come to mind. And so here we have a recent retiree as of January this year who was expecting to be able to make some transactions from his Social Security check, which was deposited into his account here. And he went on the screen and there's nothing there. And so this plays into the video I just did about the whole retirement issue that's underway right now. And so not knowing his situation one bit, but he's relying upon his Social Security check, which, depending on what time he started receiving it, he could get the full amount or just a bare minimum, who knows. But once again, if all his financial dealings is in this particular bank here, then he's literally up a creek with no paddle whatsoever. And that has nothing to do with the whole retirement issue. But it's like, man, just think about the different levels of vulnerability that people will find themselves in if your entire financial world is centered around the current financial structure, the way it's set up with digital dollars being the bulk of everyone's holdings. And so that's just, more things that people should be in tune with at this day and age, because if it's all digital, you're already trapped in a system. But then again, having some physical cash, as we've mentioned before, according to whatever, you think will get you by, whether 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, everybody got their own, personal emergency stash. But then also when it comes to your long-term savings, having, physical possession of your metals or whatever else you use as a wealth preservation vehicle, having access to those things. So automatically, that'll put you in some categories where you should have different pots. You got your digital pot, you got your physical paper pot, if need be, you got your hard asset commodity pot, then you got your speculative pot in between. So it's just right. And the reason I mentioned this particular part here is I was on Reddit and somebody asked a question about, I'm older gentleman getting ready to retire. He was like, should I hire a financial advisor? At this point in my life, I'm already, getting ready to retire. I don't really have much overall, but I'm getting ready to stop working. And I'm listening to the responses and people like, yeah, you should have a financial advisor. And I'm thinking like, okay, you should have an advisor, but then realize the advice that's being given in this current day and age is old and outdated, in my opinion, because everything that they can tell you is all centered about keeping your hard-earned cash in the very system that is going through the changes. And so already we're seeing S&P, NASDAQ, all these all-time highs, indexes, which will go higher because once the spigot cut back on, as I always mention, it's going to just shoot through the roof. But it's not so much about being positioned with a portfolio that continues to increase nominally, because as I mentioned in that retirement video I did the other day, you have the illusion of getting wealthier because you look at a screen, but in actuality, it's because of the monetary base that continues to expand rapidly. So not only will you look wealthier on screen, on paper, but overall your cost of existing will also go up to where it balances out to where it just it's very deceiving for a lot of people, because at the heart of all this is the currency issue that we're experiencing. And if has been, I think I heard something about there's been, close to 1,000, 2,000 different currencies throughout the last several hundred years that have come and gone. And as of right now, the last standing fiat currency that has yet to disappear is the Federal Reserve note. So it buys you more time. But if we have the same type of history that repeats itself throughout the ages, at some point, the Federal Reserve note, aka the dollar, will also return to its intrinsic value of zero, but it won't be zero in the way that it has been before because it's not going anywhere. It's just going to be, rebranded and repriced to be more accommodative to the needs of the entire world rather than just a U.S. centric focused economy, meaning that everything will no longer necessarily be priced in dollars globally at some point in the future. It's going to automatically cause a repricing in everything we do to where we won't get as much bang for the buck, period. So therefore, all those illusionary numbers on the screen in your 401ks or whatever will also be repriced because the currency is being reset. So ultimately, you won't be able to buy nowhere near as much as you really want. And that little rant there has to do with this whole retirement situation, which is catching my attention more and more and more because, as I mentioned, it's no way around it, man. It's a day of reckoning coming for everybody that's solely relying upon a digital or paper-based outcome for their financial futures. Because, as I mentioned, the Federal Reserve Note will be the worst. It is the worst financial medium to price or measure the value and the worth of your retirement portfolio in. It's just not sustainable. But anyway, long-winded side note there, but bear with me. I just get caught up in thought. Okay, so back to this article. And then I'm definitely curious to get your thoughts on a variety of things. So feel free to stick around and share some thoughts or drop some questions in the chat, and I'll try to share my 2 cents on it for whatever it's worth. But anyway, okay. And so back to this retiree, Enrique. It says here, Enrique says, I've never had a problem before, said Juarez, San Jose resident and retired warehouse worker. He says, everything's frozen. I can't even check my balance until this is resolved, and they don't know when that will happen. Then another person, Ahmed, San Jose University lecturer and expert in cybersecurity, said Tuesday that it looks like the hackers infiltrated the banking internal databases via a phishing email and encrypted its contents, locking out the bank from its own system. So literally, one of the employees inside the bank, not sure whether it's a regional bank or like headquarters, they clicked on an email that was probably something addressed like it was a corporate, recognizable email. And when they opened the email, clicked on something inside or just merely opened it, literally, that gave the wide open doorway for the hackers to come in and lock out 500,000 depositors plus some. So back to my point about cybersecurity earlier. If our world is being steered towards the internet solely with every aspect of our lives, if you just open up an email or click on a link in an email and it's able to cause this much damage, there's no way our government, any government, can protect anyone from this type of stuff because like this, the level of sophistication that these people and these entities have, it goes beyond what we are even aware of. And this goes back to what I believe one of the biggest culprits or one of the biggest entities that more than likely has something to do with this because they are extremely sophisticated. It happens to be the National Security Agency, the NSA, which is in collaboration with the Five Eyes, which are the other nation's top leading cybersecurity surveillance companies. Like, these entities play a much bigger role in a lot of the things that we're witnessing now than people are probably willing to admit. Like, whoever is responsible for this event right now, they're probably mainstream media is going to link it to, North Korean, Kim Jong-un, or this is Putin's fault. Like, this is where the mainstream media would put this. But then again, it could be our very own security agencies within this country doing this to either test or to play into a narrative that they want our government to use, saying that we need to step up security. This is why it's important that everybody has a digital ID so we can verify every single email so that when someone opens the email, we know exactly who it's from. And that helps alleviate the risk and helps protect depositors and insurers. And you see how every crisis leads to a solution that ultimately comes from our government. Problem, reaction, solution. Okay. But anyway, bear with me, people. I'm enjoying being able to share some information with you guys. But okay, let's get into some nitty gritty here. It says here, a phishing email is what the cybersecurity expert believers calls it. And then it says here, the hackers, what they do usually, they ask for cryptocurrency, they ask for payment. That's why it's called ransomware. And so this is him suspecting that it's a hacker and that the ultimate end goal for them would be to inquire about getting cryptocurrency. It says Patelco is estimated to manage more than $9 billion in assets across 37 branches statewide. It is unclear how many of these banks have a million accounts have been compromised and to what extent the bank's assets have been affected. It says Banfaco called Patelco a soft target for hackers, or a target with low security such as schools and hospitals compared to the other high-profile companies with more sophisticated cybersecurity protection such as federal government databases. So here we have the federal government databases have the top-notch tier of encryption, and then we have what's called a soft target. Schools, hospitals, and banks, credit unions in this case here. So if there's tiers to the level of security that's in operation, government's at the very top, they got the best of the best. And that goes to SHA 256, which is created by the NSA. And I got a whole video on that, man, because that is what Bitcoin is built upon, with the elliptic curve to help produce the blocks. But it's created by the NSA. And here's a question for my crypto lovers. This is a question that every crypto or Bitcoin Maximus will not touch or answer, because it'll open up a door of possibilities that you have to acknowledge. If the NSA created SHA 256, looks like it came about, layer 1 came about in 2001. And if it came about from the NSA, advanced, improved to 256, SHA 256, whatever the hash is, it goes deep into it, that was instrumented and became a universal standard in the Western Hemisphere only, and Bitcoin was built upon that, do you not think that the NSA would create and then release into the public a universal standard that everyone in the Western Hemisphere uses, and they not create a backdoor or a master key to get access to this encryption so that they can keep all eyes on everything that they're responsible for within our own government? So ultimately, do you think they've created cybersecurity for the point of protecting and serving customers, including themselves, within our country, and them created so that they couldn't also see what's going on, because they have to see everything in order to be a security agency? And so that leads to the idea that people won't touch that idea that if it's created by an entity, do you think they're going to lock themselves out of something that they need to see at all times in order to really protect encryption? So anyway, just another little side note. Okay. But let me see where I'm going with this. Okay. So there's different tiers to level of encryption, and everything in the public sector is not the strongest. Obviously, they're soft targets, but everything the government has is probably more bona fide because it's, at a higher level. Okay. It says here, this kind of information, hackers can take this information and sell it on the dark web, and they can use it. It says, he said likely that the hackers will demand an amount of money from the credit union to restore its systems back to normal, and will continue to hold the bank accounts hostage until either the bank finds a way around the hack or until the hackers are paid. He said payment is usually demanded in cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, and often transferred to an offshore account outside the U.S. So think about this. This is this cybersecurity expert at the University of San Jose. He's saying that that they usually demand crypto such as Bitcoin, and it's often transferred to an offshore account. So once again, if it's Bitcoin itself, Bitcoin is it's already offshore because it's on the internet. So it's not doesn't have a geographical location because it's one address to another address. So it could be someone either in DC inside the NSA building with the Bitcoin receiving address, or it could be a real hacker in Russia or in North Korea with a Bitcoin address demanding that they send, $100 million in Bitcoin just to an address. And so this type of stuff here makes it sound like they either think the readers are stupid or they just don't think this out the way they're explaining it. But it's like, okay, offshore account outside the US, whatever. It could be a hacker within the damn bank. It could be a bank employee who's really good at cyber attack and doing this. That's how crazy all this stuff can be. But anyway, so I'll stop there. But anyway, you guys see how questionable yet concerning this can be. So if you're a depositor, you're extremely concerned because it's been 5 days not able to get access to your cash. But then again, if you're in the cybersecurity world, you're like, okay, this could be a legitimate hack, or this could be a person within the damn company that literally opened the email intentionally on his side to spread something that he created, or working with a foreign entity. You never know. And now here we have day 5 and counting, and they don't have an idea when people get access to their funds. And a hacker may want Bitcoin. And that's where I question all this, because if it's a genuine hacker with skills to really cause this much damage, you would think they would want something that also can help shield their identity in the form of privacy coins. That would be ideal, I would think. But then none of these cybersecurity events that we've covered over the last year or two or so, ever since the World Economic Forum announced the Cyber Polygon is coming, which was going to be bigger than anything we've witnessed before. It's still supposedly in our future. You think they're going to want Bitcoin? That's why I know that all this is a setup. Like, between the events that are being put on with these cyber attacks to the very pathway of which that ransomware hackers demand the currency, it's all centered around the same subject matter, which is digital transactions of nothing on screens that we are forced to acknowledge and recognize, because the banks in themselves hold digital nothings that are associated with our names that we call our currency. So yeah, having a footprint in the real world is still imperative at this point. Okay, so let's keep it moving. What else we want to talk about? So right now, as I mentioned, because whether you like it or not, virtual currency, digital assets is a part of our future. And this is a side note here, but let me share with you. I meant to do a video on this. Let me think. This is why this digital distraction stuff is not going away. It's only going to get bigger. They have to use this. Let me see. Let me see. There's an article that I came across a while ago. Dang it. That talks about why it's all about tokenization. Literally, the advancing of technology so that the world will be forced to have a linkage of all real world assets into a privately controlled ledger that will ultimately be centered through that one world governance model, which will be something that'll link all nations into a single database and server in the future. This is what all this is about. These are just, the first versions of what will eventually come. And let me share with you who and why that is. Let me think. Okay, so I can't find the exact article, but let me just, so once again, to let you know, this is all intentional, nothing's accidental. This is a part of the subject matter here. The World Economic Forum, public-private partnerships, working with governments and all the private companies. And at this current moment, every stock, every asset, deed, you name it, technically owned and operated by the Depository Trust and Clearing, DTCC. Okay. They have recently just completed some digital asset tests using Chainlink and a couple other major blockchain companies to build out the infrastructure to make sure everything that you own, if you're watching me and you're an owner of anything that you think is yours, ultimately, you don't own anything in this life. You're just using it, but then you're constantly paying on it in the form of taxes, property tax, insurance tax, this tax, whatever tax. That's a way that allows true ownership to reside in their possession. So the DTCC has all the paperwork for that, and they're putting it all on the blockchain. So this is just something I couldn't find the original article, but it's very deep and detailed as to how. But here we just got some here. It says, with 50 years of experience, the DTC is a post-trade market infrastructure for the global financial services industry. Global, as I mentioned, every single thing in the world that has some type of paper trail of ownership somehow, some way makes its way to this entity and the ones and their subsidiaries. It says from 20 locations worldwide, DTCC automates, centralizes, and standardizes the processing of financial transactions. It says industry owned and governed. The firm simplifies clearing, settlements, asset servicing, data management, data reporting, and information services. It says in 2022, DTC's subsidiaries processed securities transactions valued at $2.5 quadrillion. So securities transactions, 2.5 quadrillion. And literally, it says it depository provides custody and asset services for securities issues from over 150 countries and territories valued at $72 trillion. So this one entity helps process securities for 150 countries, which equals approximately $72 trillion. So all stock markets, all real world assets in some form or fashion flows through their network. And this company, entity, above the law, it's above governments, it's above all of this. It's been around before we were all like, in this industrial / new now digital age we're in, because they were doing this back in the day when it was a paper trail. But my whole point is they have literally just rolled out their digital currency network. So everything that we're witnessing, all this hype and hope based upon what is now, let me share with you some other things here. Okay, watch this. So as of now, there is 2.4 million cryptocurrencies in existence, of which 2.4 million cryptos in existence. And of course, the number one is Bitcoin. And then everything underneath that is just getting where you fit in at. But all of this was for this purpose of allowing the DTCC to update, modernize their technology so that they can now do everything that they've been doing in the paper world or the analog world to do it in the digital realm, bar none. So, and this is where I realize that everything is intentional. Nothing is by accident. And yet there's a good portion of people who really think that all this crypto hopium and hype is going to be long lasting. It only serves a window of time for them to execute what they're trying to do. And then the narrative will change. Reason being, narratives change as fast as the agendas change. And what do I mean by that? Oh, let's look at this narrative right here. Tell me that something doesn't smell fishy about this particular narrative right here. Trump sparks talks of Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Okay, let's dissect this one. So 5 years ago, especially 2019, Trump said that Bitcoin was a scam and he couldn't do nothing with it. He wouldn't recognize it, wouldn't acknowledge it, wouldn't do all whatever. The world evolves, or maybe he changed his mind. I let you determine the true nature of all this. But now, according to this article here, just the fact they're floating the idea that Trump would like to use Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset, it only builds up the hype and the hopium that a lot of people who have bought into this narrative of digital assets going to save the world and Bitcoin fixes every single thing, according to a lot of people out here that I follow. This is the stuff that really people should begin questioning. Once the narrative changes and it becomes like mainstream and they try to onboard more sheep heading in the same direction, at some point you got to step aside and see where the herd is going and then question, like, okay, is this really what it was supposed to be? And so I'm ranting a little bit, but I'm having fun. Bear with it. I hope you guys are having fun, just sharing some thoughts. And I'm of the mindset, for people who've been around the community for a while, I rarely talk about crypto, but but I follow it. I've been following it every day, more than I do metals, because I was, involved and around this space to witness the evolution or the capturing of the space. And so literally, right now there's a lot of whatever. Bitcoin as a sector is just 1.24 trillion. It's very small, and it's going to dip further. It's going to drop. I know that I'm not an analyst or TA guy, but based upon me being around all these cycles, it's going to drop when there's a market correction. It's going to drop. Total market cap of Bitcoin itself by itself is going to go, probably down to $600 billion. It'll be cut in half. Therefore, the price, which is right now 57. What is it? Let me just look. Right now, what we got here? It's 57. Let me just look at this right here. Right now, it's $57,000. So literally, in a worst case scenario, there's a credit crunch, a credit meltdown. Everything's going to be a major sell-off and everything. Gold and silver might dip too, sure. Excuse me, but Bitcoin can easily go to 26, 27,000, and it's going to spook everybody, and everything underneath is going to crater. Okay. It's very very probable, very likely. And so based upon your strategic, whatever you do, like it'll be a good opportunity for some, or it'll be a, day of reckoning for some. Okay, whatever. But my whole point is, having witnessed this space, ever since it was literally $1 billion industry, and to have seen it go through all these phases. So the first one was here, and then the second one here, third one here, and it's possibly is the fourth one. Okay. So the fact that things have changed and it's gone from a disrupt to a adopt by nation states is concerning to me, to where it just plays in more to my skepticism of how it's going to be useful for a short window of time until it's not. But just, we got all this debate stuff going on, and, there's talks about now Kamala, stepping up to the plate. Will she be, let me see, there's an article I have here, or I don't have it, but is it right here? No. Yeah. There's talks about, Kamala Harris, top choice to replace Biden if he steps aside, Yeah. Okay. It's just, political theater. But once again, most people in the crypto space, they only see the hope and hype. Very few are willing to step outside the box and really critically think beyond their emotional attachment to this space and ask these tough questions, because there's no way that you can go full steam ahead into something that is clearly not the most honest and trustworthy sector, given that all the crypto ransomware stuff I talked about, it plays into it as well. And then again, like I see people saying XRP, it's even more of a concern for people. It should be, because it's not even designed for retail investors. It's designed for the World Economic Forum and central banks to use. And once again, I'm not about to go. A lot of XRP, you can make a lot of, people have become emotionally and unfortunately spiritually attached to cryptos and metals as well. So literally, it's getting spooky. It's beyond spooky. I've shared with you a lot of video clips that should really make you wonder. And since I'm on here, let me, so I got a couple of video clips here I love. Let me just share some video clips, just because I find it fun. Let me see if I can find some clips for you. Yeah. Here's a clip that I just like mentioning. So I'll play this real quick.
Satoshi is going to be, one of the greatest he's just one of the greatest human beings ever. I mean, he's almost like a Christ-like figure in my view. I mean, in terms of what he created and gave to us, because it's going to have that large an impact. So, my view is just forget about the price, buy what you can, sit back, enjoy your life, and try and tell other people. Because again, to get to where we want to be, we have to get a consensus of the people to see what we see and to understand that sound money is the answer.
And so he said, Satoshi is a Christ-like figure. That's just one of several other video clips I have showing how, okay, that's concerning. But anyway, all right here. So yeah, so this whole Trump situation, this political charades is about to be interesting coming up. But real quick, it says we want all the remaining Bitcoin to be made in the USA. There's a quote from Trump, and I'm not going to read this just because I really don't care. But anyway, when Forbes put out stuff like this, it just lets us know the narrative that they're trying to create. And of course, now that Trump is a Bitcoiner, it appears, ain't no telling what narrative they're going to bring out here. But once again, the digital asset space serves multiple purposes. The primary purposes is for the DTCC, and then central banks to use the technology to create CBDCs. And then third is going to be a dollar-focused floodgate mechanism to allow the U.S. government fiscal and monetary malfeasance from the central bank to avoid and slow down what in yesteryears, 100 years ago, would have been a hyperinflationary type of event with all the stimulus that's coming in the near future. So I've talked about this several times. I did a video about it. I think it was, let me just go back in my archives because a lot of people might be new. I'll never know, but I did a video. When was it? I did a video maybe 2 years ago, playing out scenarios as to how, let me see if I can find a video. I did, a video talking about it's about crypto winter. It was about crypto winter, and this was a couple years ago when markets was trembling. And so here's the video. Let me share with you my screen here. So as I've mentioned, I used to do Confessions of a Crypto Skeptic. So going back in my archives a little bit, this video right here, crypto winter events, top 5 most whatever. What does it say? Top 5 most serious issues facing crypto community. I think it's that one. Is it that one? Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's that one. But anyway, I talked about, no matter what happens, everything is a scare tactic. And because governments and the banking sector need crypto to succeed, it's more so what can they do in the short term to cause a loss of confidence so it gives them access to be able to position themselves. And I said, it has to succeed because how else will they be able to prevent a hyperinflationary event unfolding within the banking sector that will impact equity markets and ultimately destroy consumer confidence and savings of every single holder of fiat currencies. And I said the best way is to create an escape hatch would allow, literally like a black hole, it'll absorb all the liquidity that will come in the future because the Federal Reserve is nowhere near done doing the damage they need to do to pull this heist off. So literally this next coming surge will literally 10 trillion at the minimum. That's just to get things started. So imagine a 10 additional trillion coming into existence out of nowhere. They can't have it flow to gold and silver because that'll break the system. So they have to have it flow somewhere else that they can benefit from, yet also give it an illusion of hope to the American public so that there'll be a small enough population that'll benefit from it to where they'll feel richer. Stock market will then boom. Whatever president at the time, whether Biden or Trump, it don't matter. They can come out and say, look at your 401ks. Everyone's a millionaire type of stuff. But in actuality, the currency has just been canceled. because there's no return to normalcy. The new normalcy will be a second wave, and by that time, it might be a third wave of inflation that will be unimaginable. Anyway, yeah. So Bobby Seals, appreciate you, man. Says off the subject, my RT Mike with the clean shave look. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, it's been a while. I had to, just chop it off, do something different. It's been a minute. So anyway, but that's just me ranting a little bit. Okay, so what else I got here? Just some other narratives on crypto. And the reason I'm harping on this so much is from a strategic speculation standpoint. Like, if you kind of foresee what could come or what might be coming in the future, I'm just, as an opportunist, I'm not a maximalist in anything, financially speaking. I just want to be in position to benefit from what has to occur. So therefore, I speculate and I dip and dabble in things so that I can be on the benefacting side of this. And thus far, it's done me quite well. But anyway, and that's why I talk about Bitcoin. So I know people don't like it, whatever. Your personal opinion or feelings is irrelevant. This is a global systemic event that's going to happen with or without your participation. And if it's going to happen without your participation, you'll be one or two or three or five or how many other people less active in the space. Therefore, you won't benefit as much, because ultimately it's all about the currency and having as much physical possession of whatever it is you need for your longevity and your legacy, having it in place, and then trying to keep a hold of it if you can, because property rights are going to change. But anyway, it says Bitcoin falls below 57,000 as Mountain God Trustee sends test transactions. So literally, there's billions locked up from 13 years ago, and they're about to unleash it intentionally so the banks can gobble it up. BlackRock gonna gobble it up. So it's causing a lot of people to jump out. It says Bitcoin will crash to 50K, 10x research warns. So 50K, as I started mentioning, is small. Is very small. It's going to go a lot lower potentially. And then Justin Sun, Tron founder, says he offers to buy German's government's 2.3 billion stack to minimize market impact. So, yeah, interesting times we are in. Rolf says Bitcoin to the moon. Bitcoin is definitely going to go some places where we couldn't imagine, numerically speaking. All right, what else we got here? Anything else? Bald face Mike, at least you kept your eyebrows. AI has assessed the US moon landing photos are being fake. Oh man, based upon all the things happening in the world now, if people still believe stuff that comes from our government, you the fool. I don't feel sorry for people who believe anything that comes from DC or any other government. They are the problems that mankind. It's the greatest threat to mankind is our governance model. It's broken. It's captured. It's corrupted. You can't trust politicians as far as you can vote for them, because they all on a take in some capacity. Either they are complicit or they're compromised. Either one. Same thing in a sense. Anyway, what else we got here? Any other thoughts? What you guys thinking on? It says July 4th crypto sale. What else you guys got going on? Anything else subject wise? Gold is money and everything else is credit. JP Morgan. But if you can get digital gold crypto too, there are there's a couple of projects out there. I'll keep my eyes on them as well. Neil says you watch Rafi video about silver to platinum ratio. Nope, I don't really follow much. All right, well, it looks like that's it for today. But anyway, interesting day of events, interesting week of events. It's going to be an interesting, experience all in all moving forward in the remainder of summer. But then again, depending on your perspective of things, there's an abundance of opportunity because there's an unlimited amount of currency trying to find a home. Hopefully it finds its way into your pockets so that you can put to good use for two reasons: to help others and to position yourself and your family as best as you can. And helping others ultimately, as I gotta give a plug, for the King himself, to benefit the kingdom, to further expand the kingdom message is what it's ultimately for, to get more lives saved, more souls to be entered into the eternal family. That's ultimately what you can do with it, to help people. The best way to help people is to win souls, bring them to Christ. All right, my good people, it's 55 minutes, longer than I was anticipating going, but got a lot out me, got a lot of stuff out of me this morning. Hopefully it was of value to some people out there. Hopefully you found interest of it and value. If you did, as always, hit that thumbs up button, show your support for the channel, and hopefully that helps more people plug in. And make sure you guys connect with us on Rumble as well as YouTube. Hit that subscribe or follow button, and then re-click the bell notification or unsubscribe and then subscribe again, so that the algorithms know that you're actively looking to connect with us. And also, if you guys want to support the channel, links in the description. I accept a variety of forms of mediums to help me fund things on the back end here. And so, yeah, that's what it is, man. And then for those who might be coming in late, definitely go check out all the resources at rethinkingthedollar.com, as well as the links down below. And yeah, take advantage of it, man, while the opportunities are there. Anyway, be blessed, be safe.